Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. I feel like I'm going to have to use Copiers Plus to start dusting off my resume, add some new points to my resume after Roy Cooper sat in on After Dark yesterday. I'm going to get replaced. I hope he runs for something.
He's part of OG Media.
Is that what it is?
He's fully credentialed.
We added him
a parking pass.
Well, is he our
replacing
first,
you?
Is he our first actual employee?
No. That's
we don't have any employees. We have some contract work.
That's right. You're right. It's only us. It's got to be that way, or we got to change our designation. Yes, government. I know you're listening right now, especially since we have government guests. No, you're fine. It's an expansion.
Okay.
Expansion.
A senior hockey correspondent, senior Canes correspondent, Roy Cooper. All right. I like where that's at. Appreciate Roy Cooper for jumping on yesterday. I was in Asheville for a variety of anniversaries. Fire anniversary, actual anniversary, celebrating Giglio's birthday without him. That's a real big Ernie move.
That's a good one.
That's a big Ernie move. I'm celebrating your birthday without you.
You could also be celebrating our birthday early.
That's right. Because we have our birthday coming up this week. We got the OG birthday bash at Shady's.
We have a food truck.
Let's go.
We have beer.
We'll tell you a little bit more about that in housekeeping. Let's actually start with the Canes from last night. They've put the New Jersey Devils into stave mode. I've always gotten the sense that the Devils understood where this series was going, and it was just fingers crossed they don't do anything stupid. And sure enough, that's what we ended up getting last night with Timo Meier. We got the stupid. And I know you used the GIF from Rod. I think I'm
never gonna get over that face.
That face, man. Like if you're not, I mean, look, if you watch the game in real time, you saw Rod's face after the Timo Meier, Freddie Andersen thing and no call. And that's the part that probably blew my mind in all of this. It was clear as day from the various replays that Timo Meier decided to, as my guy Derek joked on social media, hit the truck stick at the last minute. These are professionals who understand how to control their bodies in those situations, okay? I'll dust off the 13U thing again. Like, a 13-year-old in that situation? Yeah, man, they're just going to fall over. Not a professional. And that's the thing that probably bothered me the most. What I was not expecting last night was Roy Cooper to drop a rollerball reference in the middle of After Dark.
I commend the Canes for keeping their focus and working hard because I'm ready to go all rollerball on Meier right now. I mean, seriously. This guy, almost every play, there's something going on. And, his skates were going straight into the crease. And that last dip of a shoulder, he's such a big guy. And when you're a goalie and you're a bit defenseless there, it was completely uncalled for. Should have been at least a minor. I don't know why it wasn't. So now the referees are sending a signal that, hey, it's okay to do that now. And that's not good. It's not good for the game. A number of goalies are getting hurt out there. Obviously, things are ratcheted up in the playoffs. Andersen has been in the zone. This being his fourth game, just even with the loss on Friday, what a brick wall he has been. He's made some miraculous saves.
So that was Roy Cooper on After Dark. And I do agree with him. Anderson's been good, although I'm not quite sure. I don't know how much you talked about it last night. Were you surprised that Andersen actually got the start yesterday after the quick turnaround?
Walt Ruff had kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier in the day that he was going to play. Big shouts to Luke Tukak for joining us both days and really picking up the load on Friday, my birthday. It was quite.
How were you feeling Friday?
I was fine. By that time, it was weird. I had a nap. I had a midday nap, and then I went to the Angus Barn.
Yeah, after we left Longleaf on Friday, you needed a nap.
I did
because you went a little hard in the middle of the day.
It was a good start to the day.
Good. A little pregame for your birthday.
51.
Hey, man, do your thing. I ain't knocking it.
But then I had to, obviously I had a gigantic meal at the Angus Barn, and I was like sobering up, knowing that. Oh yeah. I also had an Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
The port cask or something.
I have not had that one.
It smelled unbelievable. So I now have rankings of the Colonel, Weller, Angels Envy.
Okay.
So it was good. Not quite the
and you started your day with Blanton's, and that wasn't even on the ranking.
No, I'll be honest.
Fair enough.
I'll be honest. It's a little too spicy for me.
And you had Angel. Well, I think the port cask is what took
kind
some
of
of the heat off
of
the Angels Envy. Yeah.
Not quite the Ken wanted me to get the Old Forester birthday bourbon.
Okay.
It's $175 a pour at the Angus Barn.
Was Ken paying for it?
No.
Oh, okay. No. Like Ken's done enough. He doesn't need to buy
$175. But I was like sitting here going, well, wait a second, trying to do the math. What's a whole bottle cost?
Well, I mean,
or is that how it works?
That's no offense to the Angus Barn, but their markup is pretty ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah. So I only know this because my dad has gotten some bottles of wine there that are just for putting it on the table, if you will. Just to say I bought it here. That's all that is.
That close to the airport, you're charged airport prices.
Pretty much. They know they got you.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I paying $5 for a soda at an arena? Oh, because they got you.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the Angus Barn is a little bit.
Post game 3, Luke and I were having a long goaltending discussion.
Yeah.
Freddie was so good. We were like, short turnaround.
Yeah.
Plus the longer game, we both predicted, I know we don't really need credit for this, but we both predicted like the Devils are going to be out of gas.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt them more than it really helped them.
Yeah.
And I thought in the first period, you saw that. Like the Hurricanes came out and really swarmed in game 4 in that first period. So, but since Walt had kind of let the cat out of the bag about Freddie, I didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to see Kochetkov get in there. Obviously not in those circumstances. I was happy to see how he responded after giving up that, the early goal to Meyer, so soon after getting back into the game. I thought he settled down and played in a way that should give them confidence that he should almost certainly start regardless of Freddie's health on Tuesday, and then let Freddie rest for the next round. Cause I do think they will close out the decimated Devils on Tuesday night. But going back to game 3, Luke had pointed out even before all this with Freddie, Timo Meyer's just been a little bit of a bitch during this series.
Luke and I were texting over the weekend.
And he's like, I don't remember him being this kind of dirty of a player.
Well, it gets back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast today. This is what bothers me about hockey sometimes, and that we get into this frontier justice when you're outclassed. And this is something that the Canes, and this gets back to something that you and I usually roll our eyes at when we get into the Canes need to be heavier, the Canes need to be grittier, they need a little more sandpaper, that kind of stuff. For whatever reason, Rod Brind'Amour, we talked to him about this a couple of years ago about fake tough. Remember, it was like 3 years ago, I think it was, when we had wrapped up the season. We had talked to him briefly, and I hit him with some are saying ...
Yeah, fake tough was 22 after they had lost to the Rangers the first time.
Okay, and he just completely dismissed it. He's like, man, that's fake tough stuff. Like, okay, cool, you did this. What's real toughness? So I do think the Canes have developed a little bit of a reputation that you can push them. You can play a little dirty. They're not going to come back at you. Because after what happened with Andersen, are you not expecting to go take a run at Meyer? Did they do that? No. I'm not saying they should have. I'm simply saying this is how the Canes operate. So I think teams feed off of that, and they try to test the Canes. And all right, let's see if we can get you into that. That's why at the beginning of this series, I think the Canes were to be commended by not falling for it. And they continue not to fall for it. And their just attitude is, we're just going to beat you. Straight up, we're just going to beat you. The problem with that, though, is that if you allow things like this to happen, another team is going to walk it up to the edge like Meyer did and see if they can get away with it. And essentially, he did get away with it. He should not have been on the ice when he scored that goal. He should not have been on the ice, in my opinion. And again, Rod talked about it after the game, and Rod commended Kochetkov for it easily could have crumbled after that goal for Kochetkov. He settled down, gave him a chance. Then Rod was eventually asked, he didn't really address it at the beginning of his press conference, but at the end of the press conference, he was asked if he was surprised that there was not even a minor, like Roy Cooper talked about, not even a minor on what had happened with Andersen.
Given the injury and the fact that they were reviewing it, were you surprised at all that you didn't get any power play benefit out of the Meyer collision?
So I guess I have to answer it. Yeah, I was. I mean, I guess the best way I would think it is if that goes in, it's 100% goalie interference. Right? So there's clearly contact, and you're not really supposed to go in there. And maybe even if we had a little bump, it's still, he's a big guy. He can stop. But it wasn't egregious. I get it. But I mean, we feel like we try to protect the goalie quite a bit in this league. I mean, for the goalie interference stuff that nobody knows what's going on, that one. So that was the frustrating part. But we'll see. We'll see how he does.
Yeah, should we read some tea leaves on that one too?
In what sense?
I feel like if they knew Freddie, something was really, really wrong with Freddie, there would be more anger in his reaction. That almost feels like, A, we won the game. B, he's probably going to be okay. Okay. Because just the other day, Rod was losing his shit over a goaltender interference call.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what are we even talking? I was so confused as to what he was even talking about. It was game one, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was fired up over, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what are you even talking about right now? Like, you just took, you played really well. You had all these things going in your favor. You look so great.
Yeah.
And he comes in there and he's got a bone to pick over goalie interference. And I'm just like,
it's the bane of his existence.
or maybe it was even the Washington game. I can't remember which one it was.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Right?
It is, but with goalie interference, it is the bane of his existence. It's like a bull sees red. Like that is Rod. He sees goalie interference discourse. He's ready to go. He's ready to fight. So to your point, the reaction to that question would lead you to believe that Andersen ultimately is fine. I still don't think you put him out there on Tuesday night with a chance to close things out.
No, and
just let him rest, man.
Particularly the way that Kochetkov acquitted himself.
Yes,
after the Meyer goal.
You got to build him. You got to build. You're going to need both. I keep coming back to this. You're going to need both. Okay, you're going to need both, and that's why you go ahead and you put Kochetkov out there, not as a reward, but just like, hey man, let's keep building that confidence because we just got the scare. So let's make sure that you understand the scare happens and you got to stay ready. But ultimately, goalie aside, obviously we're spending a lot of time here on goalie because what happened with Andersen. But the reason why they won that game yesterday was because guess what, Joe?
You're telling me if Andrei Svechnikov and your best players, Jacob Slavin, who is their best player, are your best players?
What?
No.
Did Rod channel?
Well, your best players have to be your best players. And then they have to make shots. It's the only way you can win.
Did Rod channel the Sidney Lowe? I think so.
Well, we've talked about this for a long time. Like, your best players have to be your best players. They have to be, at this time of year, noticeable, but they also have to actually be on the score sheet. So, whatever. I mean, he came out, obviously, he's on the score sheet, so that's huge. But, I think he had 5 or 6 shots. I mean, he was around it. And that's, if we want to be successful, you got to get those contributions.
Best players got to be your best players. Low key, what I loved about that response was you got to be visible on the score sheet. That was the thing about Svechnikov so far in this series, and that he has been good. He has been annoying Markstrom. I get all that stuff, but you still got to put it in the back of the net, which is what he did last night. And he got the hat trick in the most appropriate way possible, by being the empty net specialist that he is. But it goes beyond Svechnikov. He's the big shiny object because that's why you have him. Or at least that's in theory why you have him. So it was good to see him finally pay off in a game that they needed on the road to put the Devils in the stave mode. But man, Jacob Slavin, I get, because on Friday, I was in and out of watching the game because up in Asheville, I was at Pax Tavern to watch. I was like, all right, where's the sports bar? Quick search. All right, yeah, Pax Tavern, cool. I didn't even have to ask. They actually had the game on TV. I was worried. I'm like, am I going to be that dude that says, can we devote one of these TVs to a Canes game and not Friday night coverage of the NFL draft? Cool. Thanks. Appreciate you. So they already had one on TV. So I was in and out of watching it, but I guess I missed where Slavin got burned.
So the second goal on Friday, that was created by Bratt, was really him turning on the Jets, kind of old school Eric Cole style,
right? To
just
it
down the boards, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And it wasn't until the replay that I saw 74, and I'm like, no, that can't be right. It's just so rare that you see him make a mistake like that on the puck. As Mike Maniscalco should probably patent and put on a shirt. He's got such good stick, that it's just so rare that you see him make a mistake like that, or just simply outplayed like that. And I thought the way that he started, I thought that play in particular was just kind of like one of those, as I like to say, fuck you, we're still Clemson. That was a little bit like, hey, he wouldn't say it, but like, hey man, I'm still Slavin.
I'm still Jacob Slavin. Thank you very much.
Still my Sunday.
I mean, the thing was it was a thing of beauty.
It was ridiculous.
An absolute thing of beauty. It was. I think I've seen that replay a bazillion times already.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Right. We are in the middle of a hockey break. Big thanks to our friends at Happy and Hill. They still got the pop-up location at Smoky Hollow in downtown Raleigh across from the Publix. Go check it out. $10 bowls, man.
Cannot beat it. Unbelievable lunch for $10. Sit outside, watch the dogs. There's always a dog over there in that little dog park. Great combo.
Speaking of dogs, that one thing I forgot about Asheville, they let dogs in everywhere.
Makes sense.
That's very big doggo city. My fur baby, that sort of stuff. They're clearly like kids over there. In fact, there was a bar that I drove past that was nothing but a dog park with a brewery attached to it.
Smart.
That's all it was. It was just some shipping containers with a dog park. Get your beer. Maybe that's the next move for Happy and Hail. Shipping containers and then just attached to a whole dog park. That'd be pretty amazing.
That would be amazing.
So big thanks to Happy and Hail. Use that promo code OG25 when you download the app. You get a one-time 25% off your order. Screen grab it, send it to us. You can be in the running for the black card where you'll get 20% off forever.
Yes, we still have enough of those.
For life.
We got one for the raffle as well.
Very excited about that.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to a 704 number.
Hey, guys, it's Paul. Well, you said the Hurricanes had to have their best players be the best players. Well, in Game 3, I know they lost that game, but Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis scored on the power play. And then in Game 4, Svechnikov scored on the power play and got a hat trick to be the only Hurricane that has ever scored a hat trick in playoff history. I thought that was interesting. You would have thought over the years it would have happened once, but nope. Andrei Svechnikov, the guy we've been waiting for to be that guy, is the only guy in Hurricanes history to have a hat trick in the playoffs. And that's crazy. Also, Jesus Christ, man. Can Freddie Andersen catch a break? Just like one break? Oh, that is fucking brutal. That is fucking brutal. I really hope it's nothing serious because if the offensive players, the best players are playing like this, and Freddie was playing like that, now that's a team that can get to the final. But that really sucks for Freddie. But good work from Kochekov, man. I thought when he came in and he let in that easy goal, I was like, oh shit, here comes the meltdown. And then he played really well the rest of the game. So hopefully he can fill in for Freddie however long we need him to. But hey, good win. Let's close it out, baby.
Yeah, I expect him to close it out on Tuesday, especially if this was the springboard to the best players being the best players. All right, to a 919.
All right, I called after Game 3 to complain about Brent Burns and the staff for continuing to go to Brent Burns. You know what? After watching Game 4, at least for Game 4, I was wrong. And I'm going to apologize to Brent Burns and to Rod Brind'Amour for my statements made after Game 3. And you know what? Good on them. Glad they won. Looking forward to Game 5. Take care, guys.
I forgot who was workshopping the idea that I saw. Maybe I saw it on social media, or maybe you're the one who told it to me. Rod sees Brent Burns, this super hard worker, this guy who's like a lifer trying to put his name on the cup, and thinks back to his own ending with the Hurricanes.
I think you came up with that, your own workshopped idea.
No, I didn't. I wish I could give credit to the right person.
Yeah,
but it's like that's the reason why he just keeps putting him out there and keeps having faith in him. And
might have been Maniscalco. Maybe it was.
I think it was Maniscalco.
Maybe it was Maniscalco. The only thing I would say about the Burns discourse, because it's been going on all season, it's not going to resolve itself in the playoffs. Like Rod's not going to suddenly get this epiphany that you have as a fan and go, "Oh well,
we gotta get him less ice time." No.
He's playing. He is playing, and I think part of it has to do with Nikishin as well. With Nikishin floating out there, there's this idea. This like fan fiction. It's like, all right, take Burns out and put Nikishin in, and Stanley Cup, here we come. It's kind of like my annoyance with some of the Game 3 discourse that I saw when I was killing some time on Saturday, where it's like the Canes weren't going to go 60-0 in the postseason, y'all.
Right.
Like, chill out. I mean, the Canes kind of played off, and they still got to double overtime with a chance to win. That's all you can really ask for. And they went out there and put the hammer down on Sunday night. So I think some of this is just Burns' frustration boiling over. And I think people see the end with Burns, and they kind of want to like hit the fast forward button with it because they're so hyped about Nikishin and what's coming up next defensively that they want to get him out of there. So I just wish can we just not do this every game with Burns? Just let it ride out, man.
In fairness, Burns was good in the third period of the game.
He was.
No doubt.
He was.
But the second goal I thought was on him. The Canes win the faceoff in front of Kochetkov. He's got the puck on his stick and he just, fumbles thing right to Timo Meier, basically getting the assist on the play.
Yeah.
And that's where I was kind of like, yeah, but you know me, I'm always going to find your mistakes more than I am going to find your.
Of course, that's how it always works. From a 252 to the sports phone, American hero Slavin with the steal and the goal of the year. Are we as Canes fans truly grateful that we have the best stick in the NHL?
There we go.
The best
good stick.
From an 828.
Hey, fellas. I am calling about the Carolina Hurricanes. Long time, first time. A lot of people are clamoring for Alexander Nikishin to jump into the defense for the Carolina Hurricanes. And my question is, what do you guys think? I think that he hasn't played any games. He hasn't practiced. So it's probably best that he doesn't jump in to the mix, but would love your thoughts.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. I also know there's a lot of hand-wringing over whether or not he's actually going to be able to sign the contract. When I last saw it, he had not signed yet going into the weekend. I have not refreshed my Elliot Friedmans of the world as of this morning. I'll have to go back and look into that. But to answer the caller's question, no, I don't expect to see Nikishin this round, second round. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't expect to see that, but here's the thing. Bill Belichick was in the building last week. Rod Brind'Amour and Tom Dundon have perfected and if that point isn't crystal clear, just look at the way Brett Pesce's playing this year. Is for New Jersey.
Yeah,
like he would be really fucking useful on the Carolina Hurricanes right now.
Yes,
I'm just making that point because I've been on that bandwagon for a long time.
That point has been made. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the thing about Rod and Tom, and it's probably more Tom than Rod. Orlov and Burns come off the books this year.
Yep.
They're done. And if you don't think they're already 4 steps ahead of everybody else of who's coming in and who's coming back, they're way ahead of all of us on that front. So, it is what it is. Like you said, you're just going to have to let this one play out.
Let it ride, man.
I like that I think Orlov and Burns have been sore spots for most of the season. I do. But if you look in the playoffs, I do think Orlov
game 2
has a different switch that we've seen. And, you're blocking shots. You're doing a little bit more. When your name is on the cup, you know what it takes to put your name on the cup.
Yeah.
And Orlov did that with Washington. And with Burns, can you live with some of the mistakes? Obviously you can because you're with Slavin. You know what I mean? So to your point, Rod knows this and Rod understands that. So that his role is not going to change. That's not happening here.
No,
it might change by next season because he probably won't be on the team because you don't pay for, future performance. You don't pay for past performance.
Tom doesn't, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So just let it ride. Just take a breath and stop obsessing over it.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana for sponsoring Housekeeping. Check them out online at enovana.com. They'll be at the house tomorrow.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
As we've referenced, the OG Birthday Bash number 2 is happening on Thursday. Shady's, Garner, starting at 6 o'clock. We will have Empire Properties there as the food truck, and the schnitzel will be on the menu. We have that confirmed.
I do. And I also got another note about what was on the menu. I just need to confirm the menu.
Okay. Well, while you confirm the menu, I'll tell you what else will be there. You'll be able to drink OG Light for the first time. We are tapping a keg of the official podcast beer, the champagne of podcast beers, if you will. It is beer-flavored beer, and you're going to love it. It's 4.5%, something that Giglio can drink with ease. That was crucial in the development of this beer.
It's big.
Huge. It's got to be under 5%. Otherwise, Giglio's going to just be toast. We had joked about a gravity of 9.99%, but there's no way you would have survived.
Not me.
No way you would have survived. So the beer-flavored beer will be tapped on Thursday at Shady's and Garner for OG Birthday Bash. This is a real casual thing. We're going to have a raffle. We got all sorts of goodies that we're going to have there, from outdoor stadium series banners, rowback stuff. We got the OG Media podcasting trucker hat,
the new hat
that we're going to give some away, but you'll have access to.
Perfect
Access.
We got all
to.
kinds of pictures too. Bill and Dave will be on the menu. There's a great Peyton Wilson shot that Ethan Hyman sent me. He also sent me the great Caleb Love shot from the 22 Final Four.
Real quick on the Belichick though, did you CC Jordan on that?
I did
that
not.
We're going to make that available. You should
Probably
CC Jordan.
Probably
on
get
that.
her permission.
Yeah,
I
get
guess.
the permission on that.
Here's the email from Empire. They're suggesting barbecue and nachos.
Perfect.
To go with the schnitzel.
Perfect.
Let's go.
I can never say no to the nachos. You love the nachos.
I know. We're having a meeting, and I just wanted to make sure you are okay with that.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I love the nachos. I'm all in on the nachos. It'll pair nicely with OG Light. So we got a bunch of stuff, almost too many things to list as a part of this raffle. So you can hit Giglio up on Venmo as he is doing the what are we doing here? The movie theater popcorn here.
Yeah, I kind of screwed it up a little bit, but it's 10 tickets for $25, 25 for 50, and 50 for 100.
How'd you screw it up?
I didn't really give you any incentive to do the 100. But that's fine, because I wanted to Bobby Purcell this thing. I wanted to get into our donor base.
2 years in, baby, and we're still amateurs.
Plus,
I love it.
You know how many tickets I'm going to have to write out if somebody...
I know, that's a good point.
Like, come on.
That is a good point. So, reminder, Thursday, birthday bash, 6 o'clock, Shady's. Of course, it's all thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer helping us make this happen. Check them out, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Speaking of the beer, you might not be able to make it to the OG birthday bash. Totally understand. But you still want to have the beer. Well, guess what? The beer will be in cans by the end of the month.
It will?
And you'll be able to get it at Breeze Through.
Okay.
Adam has asked if we have
That's amazing.
Adam has asked if we have a cutout of each other, like as a stand, like as an end cap.
Kind of like Tony Romo or Glenn can do that for us.
Yeah. I think we need one.
Oh, yeah.
I think we need some sort of end cap cutout of us with the beer.
Yes.
To put at Breeze Through. So the beer will be available at Breeze Through locations in the Triangle.
I'm gonna put Glenn in overdrive, but we got a lot
I love it. So check it out, breezethrough.com, especially if you're going to the game on Tuesday.
Is it going to be out Cinco de Mayo? Like we put on ridiculous outfits?
I don't. It's not going to be available by Cinco de Mayo. It'll be at the end of the month. Unfortunately, it'll
so
not be
summer. We need like a beach.
I mean,
should we be in like a
tank tops?
floaty, like an arm wings, and
maybe I can borrow a cutoff shirt from Belichick. It lets the breeze through. Get it? See what I did there?
I see
the breeze through. See what I did there? Speaking of comfortable things, you want to rock the rowback, ladies and gentlemen. We will have part of the raffle. We will have the OG Golf Classic rowback. Will we not? Is that going to be available?
Mm-hmm.
And some other goodies from rowback?
No, rowback. Yes, rowback is the Q-zip.
Yeah, the Q-zip with this on it.
We have 2 to raffle away, and maybe 2 more can be found in the couch cushions.
I'm excited about that. So check it out. Rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. And if you want to buy the T-shirt version of it now,
by the way, the state one is out now.
I saw that. State and Carolina. I have the new State and Carolina polos. They look really, really good.
Yeah, I mean Carolina, but the state one. The state one's really good.
It's like sometimes I have to remind you. No. Jordan, Michael Jordan, not the real Jordan. I'm talking about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Now, when I say Jordan, people think Belichick's girlfriend. But Republicans buy shoes too.
No, I get that.
Carolina fans buy polos too.
I
Joe.
always tell you, home field has the best Carolina stuff.
Yeah.
Rowback has the best state stuff because Ben's a state guy.
I see.
And they also have amazing Virginia stuff because that's where they're based.
I see. I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. All right, where do you want to start with? Who had the most embarrassing weekend? Would it be Shedeur Sanders?
Boy,
who was finally drafted by the Cleveland Browns after he was prank called by the son of a defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons? You want to start with Shedeur, or do you want to start with Bill Belichick's CBS Sunday Morning appearance as he promotes his book and things got awkward.
Let's go with dollar bill.
Okay, let's start with Bill Belichick. So he was on CBS Sunday Morning. CBS Sunday Morning is supposed to be like real low impact, nothing. This is not 60 Minutes.
Right.
Okay. Sunday Morning is for the chill, puff pieces, not hit you too heavy. 60 Minutes is when you've got correspondents fighting with corporate, which is what's currently happening with 60 Minutes if you're paying attention to things outside of sports.
CBS Sunday Morning is Charles Carroll.
Yeah. Not the the bell.
Speaking of great Tar Heels.
Or wearing a Carolina branded thing. It's about my dad's Navy shirt with the holes in it and everything else. So Bill, for the context here is that Bill is promoting a book.
Okay.
Jordon Hudson, his girlfriend, is crucial to the promotion of the book, right down to social media use and also that kind of stuff, right? So let's get to the part that everybody's focused on is when things got awkward. But I think it's important to give you the full context of the full piece in which Bill showed you some of that Bill charm.
He did early in. It's an 8-minute clip. He went back to his high school, so he decides to wear. I believe it's his tattered Navy sweatshirt because they're in Annapolis.
Okay,
that's where they are. I have thoughts on that in a minute, but just to set up this part of the clip, he's being talked about. Okay, here's the book. He's kind of into it. He's giving you the normal Bill stuff. He's giving you a little bit of that sunshine, and then the topic changes to Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots. And well, here we go.
Do you feel like you were treated with dignity and respect when you were let go by Robert Kraft?
Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision for us to part ways.
He said fired.
It was a mutual decision.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordon Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's the...
Jordon was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordon right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
So I'm going to pause it right there because I think it's crucial if you're not watching on YouTube that I described that there was a Bill Belichick smirk there. Like the question in of itself was, hey, and I thought it was a good question. Like, hey, like all this stuff is on Front Street. Coverage of you and Jordon is a little unhinged. Brownlow and I talked about that on ACC Panic Room last week. It's a little weird, especially we're making some jokes. We think it's funny. It's not that deep, but like the New York Post is going in on this kind of stuff, like back page kind of stuff. And you can see the smirk. He's like, yeah. The way I would interpret it was an acknowledgement of, yeah, everybody's talking about it. Yeah, it's out there on Front Street. She's posting stuff, but man, it's whatever. I'm not too concerned about it. That would be my read. But it did not end there.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on, though Hudson has recently posted about it on Instagram.
Okay, so there's a lot to dive in here, all right? CBS does not include this unless Jordon Hudson was being a pain in the ass the entire time with the interview and trying to control the message, which, as we know, through FOIA request, Jordon is very invested in how things are portrayed for her, for Bill Belichick, and even right down to Stephen Belichick. Because remember, it's not his fault he got trained by the best. Just happens to be Bill's kid. So all of a sudden, when CBS is like, we weren't going to make you a thing, but because you kept insisting on being a thing, well, now we have to highlight a moment where you were a thing. And the part that I'm what gets me into, and I'll admit, it gets me into uncomfortable territory because you know where I stand on this, and I've been consistent on this for a very, very long time. Hey, man, how y'all get down? Ain't my business. Everybody's got their own thing. You don't really know the dynamics of anybody's relationship. So you know what? It's like the old Pulp Fiction. My name's Pitt, so I'm staying out of this shit. You know what I'm saying? But here's the problem with this. We're not talking about it. We've now gotten into the Streisand effect. Well, why don't you want to talk about it? What's the lore? The lore is out there, is it not? I'm pretty sure the lore's out there.
They were on a plane somewhere, right? And
So
she was like a cheerleader.
I wanted
going
to
to some sort of competition. Or?
She was working on a paper.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to double check. I'm like, am I misremembering the lore here? So I did a real quick Google search. How did Bill Belichick and Jordon Hudson meet? It ties you back to an original TMZ story that says they met on a flight where she was working on a paper regarding logic. Belichick helped out. And then they wrote each other a note. And then that was that. She then references it on Instagram saying, 4 years ago. And she references the logic paper and things like that. And refers to him as the twin flame. So she's very out there on that they've met 4 years ago, but they've never actually confirmed the exact meet cute. Okay. Now that's a real easy story to get right. Because look, we've all been in those situations where you meet somebody new, especially now that you're in your older age and you come to find out people are embarrassed about dating apps. They don't want to admit they were on a dating app, a decade ago. Now it's pretty commonplace. So it's always well, how did you meet? At this point, I mean, we're several months into that. We're 4 years into it. Don't you think they would have the how'd you meet story down pat at this point?
You would think.
You would think. And if you're so front facing in terms of the relationship, why wouldn't you want Bill to tell the cute story? Why are we not talking about this? That's when the red flag starts to go up. Well, why don't you want to talk about this? This is supposed to be a meet cute. What am I missing here? And now that's what sends people into overdrive. That is a miscalculation. That's a PR blunder in my book. Complete PR blunder in my book.
Yeah. Let's take the relationship part out of this.
Fair.
You and I have been in plenty of situations where we've wanted to talk to someone, a coach, an AD, a commissioner, and the PR person has insisted on being there.
Yeah.
There is nothing that rankles a journalist more than when it's really? You need your babysitter? Right? Even in other cases where they don't have a relationship, you're like, really? You can't just sit here and talk to us? Really? Heck, we had the governor here at the end of his term. And the PR guy was standing in the corner, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You don't think he can handle himself?
Right.
Honestly.
I know.
You know what I mean? So that's number one. That's a PR mistake on her fault. But we playfully called the guy out. You don't make her look like this because she's getting ripped to shreds on the socials after this. You don't put her in this poor light the way CBS did if it wasn't even more going on behind the scenes than that. So that's number one. Number two, speaking of getting back at people, because now I'm using my brain a little bit. If I was the Boston Globe and this guy shit on me for 20 years, I absolutely am going to interview the first wife right now.
Yep.
The first one, the second one.
Yep.
I'm getting all of their reaction to, what do you even recognize this version of your former husband?
So this is where it gets worse. Because I thought the whole Jordon Hudson interaction was going to be the what the fuck moment of the thing. No, it was not. It gets even weirder.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet. She's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Hit pause. He looks like a hostage right there.
So
he really truly looks like a hostage right there.
This one right here.
Look at him. He's got a computer brain.
Yes.
He's got on to Cincinnati in his back pocket. Even with Kraft, he had to adjust to be like,
no, it broke him.
Was a mutual party. It was a mutual party.
That broke him.
It did.
It broke him.
Broke him in this interview. Look at the computer brain. And he just doesn't know how to answer. The guy looks like a hostage.
So this right here, because again, the reporter from CBS is just doing a real easy, cutesy, oh, this is adorable. This is a different side of you, Bill. We've never seen this side of you.
Fun side.
And his reaction is what are you even talking about? Which makes me wonder, do you know these pictures are out there?
Yeah, he must.
Do you know? I don't know.
No, he's got a daughter who's 40.
Joe,
he's got the two sons.
His face was a face of, you saw those? That's his face.
Okay.
When I saw that face, let me run it back.
Yeah.
Let me run it back.
I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet. She's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah. So
that's where the computer brain.
That little tick of you.
Wait. Let me go. Let me go back.
Everybody saw those.
It's this face.
It's like somebody leaked a dick pic. It's that is damn it. Somebody saw that.
What's
Here it is. Sorry, I had to go back. Sorry, we're doing this in real time here.
What's it been like?
What? What's it? You saw those photos? Because we know she's running his social.
Sure.
So he's probably like, here's the credentials, here's my app, here's whatever. You do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to mess with this, right?
Yeah, I don't know the OG Triangle Media login, so
I mean, you should.
I know.
So I'm
also not doing dirty dancing poses with you in the pool at
Northbrook for the beer.
I mean, we could do that for the cutout. That's a good point.
Some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
What he does follow isn't clicks or views, but touchdowns and above all, wins.
You do seem like you're having a lot more fun these days than you were in other chapters of your life, let's say.
I enjoy football. I enjoy the whole process of it. It's hard to win and it's hard to beat other good coaches, good teams. I appreciate the grind. I appreciate the competition. But coaching's fun, and honestly, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life.
Oh, look at that rehearsed smile. Absolutely love it.
Close it out. You stuck the land in there, babe, just like we practiced.
All right. Like I said, some of this stuff is, it's gotten to the point where to this is kind of uncomfortable.
Also, can we now get to like my main takeaway from this whole thing?
Yeah.
You're on for 8 minutes on Sunday morning, a completely different audience. You're talking about all your championships, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point, are you interested in promoting the University of North Carolina? And if you watch the full 8-minute clip, they have some practice footage, but like we've now seen you in a Navy sweatshirt and an Iowa sweatshirt.
I'll give the Navy sweatshirt a pass because it's about Bill Belichick and
No.
I'll give it a pass.
If the star quarterback of the University of North Carolina showed up with a Converse or a Reebok or some brand
let's give you
that wasn't theirs.
Let's give you the most recent example. Cooper Flagg with New Balance.
Yeah, but if Cooper Flagg showed up to accept an award, and they were like, "Oh, let's do a quick 6-minute video." It's him and Jay Billis, and he's over there either wearing a Maine Bears or some other school.
Yeah.
Well, my brother is being recruited by Arizona. I just wanted to put an Arizona shirt on. Like what?
What?
Joe, you've been there when Boyer lost his shit because State had the wrong beverage.
I know.
In front of Dave Doran.
I know.
Are you kidding?
I know. They take this.
You're on national television, and this is now you can't in the $10 million they're paying you.
I know.
In the swag. Shit, man, my guy at Johnny O. You've got to deal with Johnny O. I'll bring you the Johnny O stuff. Like it's taking, excuse me, it's taking all of my restraint not to text both Bubba and Robbie Pickerel and be like, "Hey, can you guys find some stuff for Bill to wear that says UNC on it?"
So it's interesting you bring that up because we got a text to the sports phone from a 704. I just watched the CBS Sunday Morning interview with Belichick. As a UNC fan, this was not a good look. Barely any mention of the heels. Jordan running the show, avoiding the softball questions. Bill didn't even wear any UNC apparel. I'd call it a circus, but at least in those, the ringleader is doing some promotion for the event. I guess it'll all be worth it if the on-field performance is good. And that's where I wanted to transition things to, because what I don't know, there's two things going on here. There is what is Jordon Hudson's role in Bill Belichick's image rehab? And within that, you referenced it. I think it needs to be crystallized. I want to know what happened in Bill Belichick's life that the Bill Belichick we see today on April 28th, 2025, if we went back to April 28th, 2020, and we showed him a clip from CBS Sunday Morning with the girlfriend, this is before he met Jordon Hudson. Here are all the things, theoretically, here are all the things that are happening in 5 years. And Bill would look at you like, who the hell is that guy?
And I'm coaching where?
I'm doing what? I got fired and I'm dating a 24-year-old and I got poses of yoga on Instagram and I'm having her interject in interviews and she's front and center fixing my mic and she's doing all this other stuff. Bill Belichick would stuff himself in a locker at that point. Would stuff himself in a locker. He would get cut. You're not keeping the main thing. You got to do your job. And that is where things get interesting for Bill Belichick in North Carolina. If you don't think the FOIA requests were getting an uptick from the last one, What do you think it is going to be now? What's Jordon asking for things at UNC? Is she asking for things that are outside the norm? Are there things that are taking place that, oh, well, Bill wants this. Well, why hasn't Bill asked for it? Bill gets questions. Oh, well, I'm letting Jordon handle that. Well, what else is Jordon handling? I mean, anybody who thinks that this is an overreaction fails to understand that he's working for a public university with taxpayer funds. And there's a couple of things that are going to hit the head. They're going to butt heads. All right. Bill Belichick is going to find out real quick with all this stuff being public with the FOIA and the red tape and everything else that, man, what am I doing here? And even Jordan's probably going to be like, babe, they don't understand you. They should be giving you everything that you want. You're a Hall of Famer. You've got multiple Super Bowls. Everybody wants you. You shouldn't have to answer to some guy in whatever, some booster. You have to keep asking him for money. They should just be giving you money. Okay. And he's going to leave. He's going to leave not because he can't handle the football aspect of it. He's going to leave because something's going to happen behind the scenes that indicates to him from Jordon, they don't respect you. They don't like you the way they should like you. Those kind of things. That's where I see all this going. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch the CBS thing again and tell me that's not probably what's happening, where she's straight up telling him you can and you cannot answer that. Bill Belichick being told
in the middle of an interview.
In the middle of an interview, you can and you cannot answer that. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. What? Okay. And I think that's the other thing that I think will start coming out here in the next few weeks as this gets more and more bizarre. Because it's really, I'm left with no other choice but to say, no other word to use other than this is bizarre. We're probably going to get more stuff coming out of Chapel Hill.
I wonder if the quarterback at Purdue will sing.
About, I don't know. Somebody's going to talk. Somebody's going to give you a full-on vibe check of what's going on there because it's been quiet for way too long. I keep thinking about the conversations we've had with Andrew Jones over at Tar Heel Illustrated about how nobody's talked. They haven't talked to the players like since December. People aren't made available. I was talking to somebody who said that the vibe out of there is atrocious right now, just like in the football sense, right? And it's like, but why? Like, this isn't hard. You got Bill freaking Belichick. This shouldn't be hard. But apparently it's just a mess over there right now, or at least that's the word. It's the mess over there. But we'll see what happens once we get to football season and whether or not that'll be the case. But I'm given no indication based on how things have been handled so far that football will be taken care of because the main thing hasn't been the main thing. He seems more interested in promoting his book and gallivanting around with the girlfriend than he does but with football right now. And perception matters in football. Perception matters. Are you about the work? Are you about the 33rd NFL team? Are you about development? Or are you more about promoting yourself? These are things, transitioning over to Shedeur Sanders, that football people care about, right? Keeping the main thing the main thing.
ABC too, man. Always be recruiting.
Is he recruiting this way?
No.
Absolutely not. But that's where the hubris comes in. They feel that they're smarter than everybody else. They'll be able to identify talent that nobody else will be able to identify, that they'll be able to develop them in a way that no other school has been developing. Meanwhile, you got 14 Ohio State people going in the draft, right? Like, this ain't complicated. This really ain't complicated. You need the dudes. And I don't even know if Carolina's got the dudes. Now, transitioning over to Shedeur Sanders. You got prank called. And that's been by the way, he wasn't the only person who got prank called. I think there's a deeper story here beyond Shedeur Sanders. He's the shiny object. And video came out because with Shedeur Sanders, everything gets videoed. This is off of Reddit. And here's when he got prank called by the son of the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator who was calling him as Mickey Loomis of the New Orleans Saints.
This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
How you doing?
Good, how are you, man?
Good, been waiting on you.
Go! Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man.
No, for sure.
We're going to take you with our next pick right here, man.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Let's be legendary.
But you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, man.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Ready to go! What does that mean?
What? What did he say?
I don't know.
How you going to ask us what it means and you was on the phone?
You heard that? He said you're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Why did he call? What the fuck?
Hey, that's
I don't know what that was. It's 50-50. But nobody got this number though.
It was private.
Huh? Did they just troll, bro?
Okay.
Man, he just got trolled, bro. They tripping now, fam. Now I'm crashed out, bro.
It is. Well, so we're gonna tell you what the next pick, but you gotta wait a little bit longer.
So he goes and he sits down with his dad, Deion.
You know,
Sanders.
there's video from the other side too. The kid took video.
The kid took video of it as well. So that's out there. This is from Pro Football Talk. PFT has obtained a pair of communications that were sent to the NFL's teams regarding the contact information for the draft prospects generally and for Sanders specifically. Because remember, Sanders in that Shedeur in that video says the only people who have this number are the NFL teams, right? And the way the story goes from the Falcons is that the kid saw the information on his dad's iPad, all right, and then he just decided to take it and save it for that purpose. But from Florio, a formal memo dated April 23rd, 2025 to all general managers, head coaches, player personnel directors, club IT directors from the NFL player personnel department listed the contact numbers for the 16 players who attended the draft, cell phone number and green room number, and the 24 players who were participating virtually, including Sanders. The memo also contained the WhatsApp numbers for 5 players who participated in the International Player Pathway Program. Later, an email was sent on April 23rd, all waivers, NFL League. It contained only the new cell phone number beginning today for Shedeur Sanders. As one source explained it, all waivers, League, NFL League, is widely distributed to all coaches and personnel executives. Ulbrich, the kid, the defensive coordinator, would have been on the recipients list. So from Florio, it's reasonable to conclude that Jax Ulbrich saw the second email, which had only Sanders' updated number, especially since that's the number that was called during the draft. The question is how and when he saw it. Right now, the NFL is acting as though they'll accept the Atlanta Falcons explanation, but that doesn't explain how who was the tight end that you wanted for the
Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren got a prank call. There was another player who got a call 30 minutes after he was drafted saying that he was traded. So clearly these numbers were out in the wild, and it just wasn't either it was this one kid and then he passed that number along to some other folks and it went beyond just the Shedeur Sanders thing, or there were other instances where this number got out there. And I don't think this story's over because you can't have that many prank calls during the draft weekend and it be a one-off instance. Something ain't right here.
I suspect the NFL will issue phones next year, and only those people will have the number and those phones.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
But yeah, I mean, that was the least. That was just the salt in the wound for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah,
and his drop, and for ultimately to be the Browns that pick him. It's almost like, boy, you really would have preferred not to be in a cursed franchise like the Browns, especially at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
And now that quarterback room is going to be wild with Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett.
It's a weird room.
Yeah, I know. I think it was the guy from Alabama who covers for NFL Network. I'm terrible with names, you know this, but he had said they're basically looking at it like Gabriel's a backup.
Yeah.
Then you have Flacco and Shedeur. If Shedeur is some sort of scratch off that becomes a starter, great. If not, it's a 5th round pick. Doesn't really matter. Flacco starts. You try to develop Gabriel as a backup. And Shedeur's, it is what it is. But if he turns out to be something and he's motivated and can correct some of the things that caused him to fall that weren't related to Deion, well, then you have a 1st round pick in the 5th round.
I mean, that's the thing about this. I cannot shake the idea that the reason why Shedeur Sanders ended up being drafted when he got drafted has a lot to do with his dad. And that for whatever reason, Deion Sanders, who is an actual one of one in terms of a football player, a brand, thought that his kid could do the same thing, especially in this environment too, with the kind of numbers and the kind of tape that he also had out there.
Now, there were multiple teams that said he was not great in their interview, meaning not great, meaning an asshole.
Yes.
And not an asshole in a good way.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. But again, I think that comes from Deion.
Yes.
As
long as you're saying it properly, I think it's kind of this perfect storm, right?
Yeah.
For him, an imperfect storm, if you will.
Yeah.
You had some of his issues on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the greatest arm in the history of the world, not the biggest guy, not that mobile, and in this day and age, if you're not the biggest guy with the greatest arm, you better be mobile.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. And then you have he wasn't great in these interviews because of his ego. Some of it was like, I think with the Giants was like flat out refused to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, okay.
And Deion has been adamant over the last couple of years that, hey, man, we ain't going to a place like Cleveland, which is ironic that he ends up at a place like Cleveland. So again, I think it's all rooted in Deion.
And it gets back to Deion, and it gets back to Deion basically saying in the run up to this, if you thought what Archie Manning did was a thing, just wait. I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I suspect the difference between Archie Manning and Deion Sanders is how they went about it. Stealth, maybe.
Not only that,
calling your shot.
There's also the Mannings being viewed as a quarterback family, the closest thing we have to a royal family of football.
And
the Mannings,
and can't miss. I think there is more of a scratch off value to Shedeur. I actually think Shedeur could be a really good pro. I actually do.
I don't. It's funny to me. I don't think this has nothing to do with the ability of Shedeur. I don't buy anybody who is out there eating tape telling you he's this or that, especially considering that the other quarterbacks that were taken ahead of him were just as flawed. Okay, just as flawed. And we see teams reaching for QBs all the time, right? I did not have on my board, though, that Shedeur Sanders was going to go after Jalen Milroe, a guy who had his ups and downs at Alabama. And people saying
Milroe's mobile, at least. I
get that.
Some of the other ones, Dylan Gabriel, even.
I get that, right? But I don't think anybody would have thought that some of the quarterbacks that went ahead of him would actually go ahead.
Right.
But I'm also not trying to act as though this is some sort of Tom Brady 6 that we're going to be dealing with. Go watch the 30 for 30, where who was the guy who went off to go be a sheep farmer?
Giovanni Carmazzi?
Yes, Giovanni Carmazzi. I don't think any of these guys are going to go off and be sheep farmers because Shedeur Sanders is off to have multiple Super Bowls.
It's good money in
sheep
farming.
Of course. I think it all comes back down to Deion. And this is not me questioning parenting or anything like that. I'm simply saying that when you are in Deion Inc., it is a more high-profile, talented version of what we saw with the Ball brothers, right? And
with the actual threat of the father becoming your coach or replacing you.
Yes.
I think that's part of the equation.
Yeah, LeVar was never going to be your coach. Never going to be your coach. He was just going to go on ESPN and be a pain in the ass. You can handle that. Deion, I said this last week, the big red flag is calling head coaches out on the phone. Right? And then if Shedeur, let's say with Cleveland, because it's going to be a hot mess, right? But at the quarterback position, you don't think that people are going to go to a Colorado thing and ask him about, hey, what do you think about what's going on? Should Shedeur play? Yada, yada, yada. Or that Deion won't offer his own opinions on
He
this
doesn't
stuff.
need any of the media. Do it
Right.
himself.
He'll just do it himself. Like I said, like I joked last week, he's calling out Virginia in a video. Who's to say he's not going to call out,
Cincinnati,
my guy Goldie on ESPN Cleveland, like, Goldie, I heard what you said about Shedeur. Like, yeah, man, that's a problem. So I think just the everything about Deion works for Deion, okay? But I don't think it's working for his kid. And it might have been too late for him to eject from I'm having a role in all this. I think Deion specifically flew too close to the sun. And this is the byproduct of it with his kid dropping to a place that, it's Cleveland. How many times do we have to go down the list of quarterbacks in Cleveland?
Yeah, that's not a great situation for him.
I'm just curious about what Pittsburgh's doing.
What do you mean?
Are we just waiting on
Mason Rudolph?
Are we just waiting on Aaron Rodgers now?
No, I think they know he's not going to be their quarterback, and they told him via con Dios.
All right. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out online at bugsbite.com. You have just a few more days to take advantage of this April deal, Joe. So get on it. It's April 28th. Only a few more days. You have until Wednesday to make this thing happen. So call them up. Hit them up online at bugsbite.com. Just $29.
First service, $29. I know what you're thinking, Joe. I've been using Mosquito Authority for years now. But tell them that you heard about this ad on the OG and go to bugsbite.com. Get yourself that $29 service.
Big thanks to Butcher's Market. They sponsor the mailbag. They do OG Live, which we'll do again on Thursday. And they can help you with your tailgate needs or with the weather. It's time to go out there and grill. Go to thebutchersmarkets.com. They got stuff that's pre-made. Make it easier on you during the week. But when the weekend hits and you want to get crazy with the grill, they got everything that you need. Meat, obviously, is important, but they've got the seasoning. They got the marinades. They even got the charcoal. They got it all there at the Butcher's Market. So go check them out.
Don't forget tomorrow's Temptation Tuesday, your chicken bake entree, broccoli salad, green bean almondine, buy one, get one on your 85, 92% ground beef. Chicken thighs are also buy one, get one. So check them out for Temptation Tuesdays all through April.
And of course, when you're done getting all the stuff that you need at the butcher's market, go to Two Roosters to get dessert for later in the day. Or as we're talking about running out of time, you are running out of time to get the chocolate chip carrot cake ice cream.
Yes, I will be there. They're not open today, so I'll be there tomorrow getting one of the $100 barrels.
Let's freaking go. So go to tworoosters.com. You can actually do that. Get a whole barrel.
You can.
This is a real thing.
Yeah.
Joe is not joking.
I'm not.
Joe is not joking about this.
It's one of the best deals in the store.
You can actually go out and do that. So go out and do that.
You just have to have room for it.
Joining us on the Easter Automotive Group hotline. Let's get away from prank calls. Let's get away from strawberry lobsters and meat cutes and everything else related to Bill Belichick. Let's talk some football with Kyle Bailey on the Easter Automotive Group hotline. Kyle Bailey, WFNZ. Kyle, what's going on, man?
I don't get to talk about Belichick? Come on, y'all.
I mean, look, I referenced this in the previous segment, but maybe you agree. The Bill Belichick of merely 5 years ago would look at the Bill Belichick of today in that CBS Sunday Morning interview and go, what the fuck is wrong with you?
This is not the same man that we grew up with. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm watching it just with, slack jawed like everybody else, trying to comprehend what's happening. So I won't drag you.
Look, I'm just saying, like, I can't get over the even like the simple thing of like, how'd you guys meet? And he's like, no,
we don't talk about that.
Okay, then. Anyway, here's what we will talk about. Did the Carolina Panthers actually have wait for it? Is everybody sitting down? Joe sitting down? Kyle, you're sitting down? Did the Panthers
man.
Did they actually have a good draft? Did they have a good draft, Kyle?
I believe they did, and I'm gonna relocate mid conversation here if that's all right with you guys, so like we can maybe provide a better. Okay, so we're gonna sit out here, and I hope the guys here in the FNZ studios don't get upset. I'm sitting here with Wes Bryant and Walker Mail of Wes and Walker fame, so I don't think these guys mind.
That's the one show on WFNZ I'm not beefing with currently, so that's good.
Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, no, Max Fury. Yeah, we got to get into that too. But no, I thought it was a good draft. I thought, look. Jim Zoki was on with Mac and Bone this morning joking about it. It's sports radio, right? So no matter what you say, great draft, terrible draft, you get the folks that agree with you, you get the folks that disagree, you get the folks that, will rightly tell you that we don't know because, it's impossible to know. And Zoke was joking this morning that we should come in today and start breaking down the 2021 draft now that we know, 4 years later. But yeah, I mean, it feels like Dan did good work. And I'll say this as somebody who was not pro Tetero McMillan in the first round. I like what he did directly after that. I think, grabbing 2 first-team All-SEC edge rushers, immediately made a lot of folks feel better about the decision to go wide receiver at 8. And then from that point forward, I mean, I think that you saw Dan stay pretty consistent with a type of guy that he likes, the guy that he wants, and so if you're a Panthers fan, you're getting praise from a lot of national guys today. Trevor Sikkema of PFF was on the station this morning. He gave him an A+. So, I'm certainly not unhappy with what they accomplished over the weekend.
You said you weren't on board for Tetero McMillan?
It was not my preference. I'm not on board. No, I felt like, the defensive pick was the better way to go with the 8th overall selection. So no, I didn't want a wide receiver. That said, I absolutely see a world in which this works out well for them. So I'm open-minded to it.
Well, I guess the question would be, and I saw this kind of playing out, and I don't know how it played out with y'all on Friday on WFNZ. I'm sure the text line had a lot of opinions. People were calling in about this. And we had talked to Mike Kay, the Charlotte Observer, about it. And so you get Nalo, but what does that say about Xavier Legette, right? It was Legette. Was Legette not supposed to be the jump ball guy? That ultimately what the Panthers need at the wide receiver group is speed. And if there's one knock on Nalo, it would be the speed aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not slow. He's a 4.5 guy. For a human being, that's still fast, and so I think people forget that. I had Mike on the show the other day too. Mike's a great guy, a great football reporter. And he said that he kind of likened him to A.J. Green in Cincinnati, which if you got A.J. Green out of this pick, I think you'd be pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
And A.J. Green was a 4'6". A.J. Green was a 4'6", 240 guy. So McMillan can run. But here's the thing. Xavier Legette should also be your speed guy. He's a 4'4", 40 guy. Not everybody runs a 4'3". Very few guys run 4'3s. Maybe an increasing number now that it's, you train specifically for that event, but that's neither here nor there. I do think it tells you that they see McMillan maybe more as the number one, but I also wonder increasingly if that matters. We have these conversations all the time about how many, bona fide stud number one wide receivers end up in the Super Bowl, much less winning them. And, a lot of them don't. So, I think they added talent. I think this, gives Bryce the abundance of weapons that, people wanted for him, the thing they didn't do for Cam Newton well enough. And, now if nothing else, you've got more talent in that room than you've had in quite some time. And there are no excuses for the offense. Bryce and the offense need to go out and produce this year. So, you're going into a big year 3 for Bryce. There can be no more excuses about offensive line or weapons. Those things are in place now. And so, you should be able to go out there and play well. And if the quarterback doesn't, well, then, he's got to you start pointing the finger at him as the reason why. And you can make conclusive determinations. So, I'm looking forward to training camp. I think this could absolutely work. And especially after you grab Scorton and Uman Mielen. I think they did well for themselves in the first couple of rounds.
I always love to look at where a team gets their players from, right? And we've been kind of talking about Belichick in the sense that, hey, buddy, there's really only one way to win in college football. That's to get a bunch of really good players. Mm-hmm. Look where the Panthers. I like this part of the Panthers: Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida, Notre Dame, even Jimmy Horn's kid, who was at whatever his first name is in real life, at Colorado. There was not a lot of guessing here.
Yep.
Can they play at X level? So I like that thought process. I actually like that they did take McMillan with the first pick because the next 2 picks, they were like, there's depth at that edge spot. So we'll throw 2 darts at that and make that work. My only question is ETN in the 4th. This obviously means the Brooks experiment lasts 1 year, or what tea leaves should we read on that, Kyle?
Well, I think they don't know, and ETN is absolutely Brooks' insurance, and Rico Dowdle's only signed for a year. I think you've got 2 options there. You drafted Brooks, you traded up to get him in the 2nd round because you believed in him, and they're not ready to give up on him yet, but there needs to be insurance. And Rico Dowdle, if he has a great year, he becomes even more expensive. But for ETN, if Brooks doesn't work out, it's great insurance to have. So. That one I thought was certainly interesting. They brought back Raheem Blackshear, though nothing's guaranteed there. I mean, he may not make the team when it's all said and done. So I'm not surprised that they took a swing at running back where they did. But overall, Joe, I love your point. They grabbed guys with pedigree from winning programs who played against the best competition. And that's something that I know fans here have been clamoring for a while. It's not as if they've never drafted players from Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State. Of course they have, but more of them early on with better track records. And I think that's the thing that really makes people feel good about what they did this weekend.
Even more important, Kyle, they avoided falling for the trap of taking another offensive lineman from NC State.
Bless.
I mean, lessons have been learned, finally.
Well, although they did immediately pick up the 5th-year option on Icky right after the draft, Joe. So, I don't know what that says.
Yeah, he's probably good enough to be a starter, maybe, but yeah.
It's not what you thought he was going to be. So, and I guess the other transactional thing that came out of the draft, and to your point, we really don't know, man. That's why I always find the grading of the draft to be somewhat comical. Or Mel Kiper Jr. having an all weekend long set breakdown because of what happened with Shedeur Sanders. Man, we don't know. We really don't know. But like, you get a situation like Hunter Renfrow, who got picked up by the Panthers. What is the thought process there? Just throwing some bodies at that wide receiver group to see what sticks? Is there like a balance to the force where we must have a smaller white guy wide receiver somewhere in the NFL? I mean, what's the thought process there?
I mean, he really is a good route runner, and he's got pedigree. I mean, the guy caught a ball to win a national championship, has proven that he can play in the NFL, and he's a good presence in camp to battle for a spot. I mean, he's not guaranteed anything, but I do think he pushes everyone in the room. It's funny because when they drafted McMillan, a lot of folks immediately say, well, I guess all that stuff about, Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker recently was all lip service. No, it's not. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I think that, bringing in competition to push those guys in particular will be good for them. I know you both know this, and, I've talked about it quite a bit, that before Dave Canales was known as the quarterback whisperer, he was the wide receiver whisperer in Seattle, with guys like that. And so, I expect him to pay particular attention to that room and to those guys. And, he knows how big it is or how important it is for them to have big years in support of the quarterback. And so bringing in guys like Hunter Renfrow, I think, just creates a better, greater level of competition inside that room. And it's why I'm really excited about training camp this fall. And I know fans are less excited because they won't get to see it, but I can't wait to get out there and watch it because I think the competition in that room is going to be fantastic.
That is such I guess the theme of today's show is just self-inflicted PR blunders. Whether it's Bill Belichick with CBS Sunday Morning, which is supposed to be a puff piece, and it turned out to be a bizarre one. And then the same with the Carolina Panthers and this training camp stuff, where they're not going to be, they're not going to have fans for the next 2 years because of construction. I mean, come on, man, get a bleacher within view of the field. That ain't that hard. As I joked last week when I saw this story, I'm still able to navigate Epcot, and Disney while they're in the middle of a construction project. I don't understand the logic between. I get the construction and you're trying to update things, but I don't get the logic of no fans being there.
Well, I don't know if were either one of you out there last year for training camp. I don't know if
we didn't make it out
for training camp last year.
We didn't make it out there.
Okay, so it was actually a fantastic setup. You had bleachers, covered bleachers on both ends. You had standing room. It was a great experience. It really was. Everybody who came had a tremendous time. I thought the atmosphere was great, especially when the Jets showed up for joint practice that day.
Yeah.
And so, I've spoken to some folks up there. They are, they're quick to point out that the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles are only hosting one practice open to the public. That the Atlanta Falcons are doing the same thing.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. You know what the Eagles did that the Panthers haven't done? Win some Super Bowls.
Super Bowl, I guess, is what you're going to say.
Yeah, like you don't need. And
correct.
I think
I'm not arguing.
That's the issue. That's the issue I'm having right now with the Panthers is you still got to sell fans to come back. You still have to build that relationship. Yeah. And I think that relationship with David Tepper in particular started off great because, hey, it's not Jerry Richardson, but it's eroded over time. And I'm just kind of curious how they've been handling that.
No, I'm with you on that. So the only reason was I pointed that out to say, it's not as if they're doing something that is unprecedented across the league, but they also have the full intention of, hey, we want to build this as quickly as possible so that we can have people back here for training camp. So their long-term goal is they want that to be the spot for fans to be in. I don't know what the logistics are. I don't know how close to a construction site fans would have to be in order to make this all work. What I can tell you is, having lived down the street from that stadium for 5.5 years here in Charlotte, and working there all the time, it is tight. It's confined space up there. There's not a lot of place to work. So I don't want to get over my skis in terms of liability and what they can and can't do. It does suck for fans. Yeah. I was driving and listening to our friend Colin Hoggart, who hosts 10 to noon here on FNZ. And he was pointing out, like I said, it's been a while since we could anticipate a training camp like this that has so many camp battles. At some key positions and, veterans versus young guys. And so this is an awful camp for people to have to miss. And I think they're very aware of that. So it sucks. There's no question about it. I'm more than happy to point out the Panthers' flaws as an organization when I have to. I shouldn't say happy. I'm more than willing to. But this is one where I think, I don't know. I mean, they kind of seem stuck where, it's David Tepper's fault and Rock Hill's fault that all that fell through. But now that they're trying to build something in Uptown, kind of hard to build things in tight spaces. So I want to be fair to everybody involved here. But bottom line is it sucks for the fans. There's no doubt.
and we'll close on this in the sense that, because I don't want to belabor the point of Raleigh versus Charlotte, as we joked about last week. I mean, look, man,
you don't, huh?
It's 2025, man. Like, we can coexist. Like, I want things in Charlotte to be good because it's good for us.
Agree.
You know what I'm saying? So, the whole back and forth thing is kind of silly to me. But I do think it's interesting, though, in that much like Raleigh, there is a very, very delicate balance to this where you can sell optimism to a point, but when you keep getting returned crap, eventually the apathy truly sets in. And this gets back to, since the Carolina Hurricanes are in the playoffs, and I know the genesis of this whole Raleigh-Charlotte thing was around the fact that the arena looks rocking right now. And it is, because the Canes have made the playoffs 7 years in a row, and they're consistent and everything else. People are happy to go to Canes games. But you understand, after a decade of not making the playoffs, people checked out. And that's where we get into that fine line. And I hope that the Panthers in particular understand that another year of not giving fans something after this draft and some optimism, and as you've been mentioning, interest in camp battles, interest in Bryce's development, interest in how they've gone about this draft. If they don't follow through, you are in danger in Charlotte of having yet another bottom achieved. Because every time I thought that the Canes had hit some sort of rock bottom in terms of fan apathy, there was another level. And that's my fear for the Panthers and David Tepper.
No, I'm with you 100%. I mean, you have to remember, my first year here on the job was their last playoff appearance.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to cover one playoff appearance for the Carolina Panthers, and we've seen, some rough stuff since then, as everybody in this conversation is well aware. When you open that conversation, what you were describing was continuing to, promise excitement, deliver crap, or whatever it was that you said. I thought we were talking Hornets there for a second, because that's where I really see it.
We've already hit that point with the Hornets. The Hornets are at that point right now.
Right. That's what you can see it. There's a living, breathing example of it down the street right now. And the fans still love that team, but it's and even with new ownership, new coach, it's like, hey, we understand that you are the new people, that you're trying to build something, that we should give you time. But, this team hasn't won a seven-game playoff series ever. So pardon us if, we'll have to see it to believe it. The Panthers aren't there yet, but I do think it's critically important for them to build on the excitement, the hope, the optimism that they left fans with, on a 5-touchdown day for Bryce Young and a win over Atlanta to end the season. People felt really, really good and much, much better about the overall direction of the organization when that happened. And so, I guess you could point out that Dan Campbell in year 2 in Detroit started 1-6, we know where they are now. Mm-hmm. You do want to hang on. It's a long ride, but man, they need to avoid something like that to start the season. They have to I think it's critical they come out and look competent, look better. And I think they will. I'm not the eternal optimist necessarily, but I am pretty optimistic that overall this thing's moving in the right direction. I think Bryce Young proves that he can play. And so now we just have to cross our fingers and hold our breath so that guys don't start dropping like flies, that are injury related. Yeah. And I think they're going to be okay.
Hey man, the South is there for them. It's not like the South is this
it is.
This super, super difficult division to fight through, man. It's there for them.
Yeah, it is. And I've been pressing on that the last several weeks that, no one expects you to win the Super Bowl. No one expects you to contend for the NFC. And I do respect what Tampa's built. I think Tampa's actually very quietly become one of the better run organizations in the NFL over the past couple of years. But this is not a great division. And I think Carolina should absolutely be contending to win it. If you're not contending to win it in year 3 of your rookie quarterback with what you've done, then you're still doing something wrong. So they need to be in contention for the division this year. Otherwise, we might be right back to the drawing board.
Cal Bailey, WFNZ out in Charlotte. All right, man. I'll be listening to you guys later today. Enjoy all the draft takes and the Bill Belichick takes.
Man, it's bewildering. That's the only word that I can get. It's bewildering. Like, why? How is this? This is not the same man that existed or that we covered or talked about or watched 5 years ago. I don't know if it's a case of the body snatchers, if this is just the most obvious Occam's razor, explanation, with a beautiful young lady. I don't know, but I cannot. I'm just bewildered watching Bill Belichick exist. And that attempt at an interview that I saw I showed it to my wife and I was like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Only thing missing was a prank call. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Hunter Renfrow, ACC legend, Joe. Carolina Panther legend now. Cannot wait. Speaking of the ACC, every time we talk about ACC Matters, it is brought to you by our friends at Keller Williams Commercial. There's an ACC video that's coming up too in Hey Joe. Anytime we talk about the ACC, Keller Williams Commercial. The Donnelly team, check them out. Call them at 919-616-8681 or trianglencommercial.com. That's commercial real estate. That's a very specific need. Warehouse space, retail space, bigger office. Those are things that they can handle. But you might find yourself in your house, you need a bigger house. Well, that's where Hometown Realty comes into play. Check them out at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Buy and sell with confidence, especially when it comes to new construction. New construction is going up all over the place. A lot of the builders have incentives. Take advantage of all those incentives. And when it comes to selling your house, take advantage of the value of your home. Don't just settle for a guaranteed cash offer. My Hometown Realty is going to help you out. myhtr.com.
Driving downtown the other day, driving through Garner, I saw one of those dreaded guaranteed offers in someone's front yard. I just wanted to knock on their door and just be like, can you pay me $20,000 too, since you shortchanged yourself?
Don't do it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. All right, so you got your house. You got your auto. You need insurance for it. Matt Davis, State Farm. Call him today, 919-779-8277 or insuregarner.com. He's going to help you save money on home and auto. And look, this is all about saving money. We talked about buying a house. Well, you have to finance that house, right? Miller Lending, ladies and gentlemen. MillerLending.com/the-OG. Call them today at 919-447-3377. But go to the website. That's our landing page. MillerLending.com/the-OG. Take that thing to close. There is a Raleigh Wine Shop gift basket in it for you. And this is all about customer service with Miller Lending. We've talked a lot about breaking even on things like closing costs. Well, with Miller Lending, there are no closing costs. Now you're thinking, okay, well, wait a minute. No closing costs. I mean, isn't the rate a little bit higher?
Save money.
Well, but isn't the rate a little bit higher? The rate is the rate. When you get a lower rate, you've bought said rate. And you're going to have to wait typically about 8 years for buying said rate to break even. Funny thing about rates, they go up and down all the time. Or your situation changes. And typically, people refinance about every 4 years. So don't pay closing costs. Contact our friends at Miller Lending. They're going to walk you through it. You're going to save money in the long run and just be more flexible and better off when you go to Miller Lending. Again, that's MillerLending.com/the-OG. Tell them we sent you if you call them at 919-447-3377. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe, shall we? Let's go back to the OG Sports Phone, which is brought to you by Nature's Relief.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
All right, this is from a 252.
Hey, Joe's. First, Joe, happy belated birthday. Hope it was a good one. Second, don't really talk about college baseball a lot on the show, but just know your affinity for Elliott Avent. And I think all of our, well, hopefully most of ours, appreciation of what he does. But just, I think it's the bingo card where you can check off every year a couple things. One, it's, and as a State fan, I'm saying this, but when State fans start to get antsy about Elliott Avent and all the murmurings start happening of, well, how long is he going to be the coach? And, at what point do we make a change? And then, what happens the next 2 weekends? You go out to California and sweep Cal, and then you just host the number 2 team in the country, and you don't just sweep them. Like outside of a few innings, it never was actually close. And so just in true Elliott Avent form, here's the other bingo card check is he gets everything going in the right direction. Like they're on the hottest of hot streaks that they could have. So, this is more of a appreciation for Elliott Avent and just all he does for NC State. But my God, just the way he rolled the guys out there this weekend, it was pretty incredible. And too many names to mention, Sosa, Duden, but just all the guys. Just that. Not going to say it, but if that didn't like a team that might be doing some traveling, actually playing at home quite a bit, but then probably doing some traveling, I don't know what does. But that was a lot of fun. I mean, mix that with the Canes weekend and, just some of the other hockey and all. But, that was a lot of fun to watch this weekend. So, yeah. Big thanks to your guy, Elliott Avent. Later.
So that phone call also, we got a text from a 919 saying, before we get into true summer protocols, i.e. after the birthday party, I'd like to hear some ACC baseball talk. State, Carolina, Duke in the top half. I'll admit, Canes have kind of occupied my brain here now that we've entered the spring. We've entered post-basketball mode. But this is my shocked face that Elliott Avent is doing good things with NC State baseball. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So a month ago, I go over to Durham, watch all 3 games. They were They lost 2 of the 3. They were not very good.
Yeah,
in Durham.
yeah.
And Duke is good.
Duke is good.
Duke's got really good pitching in particular, and a great story at third base as well. I would actually love to talk to him before the ACC tournament if our Duke people are listening. He's a 6-year guy, turned down major league draft because he wants to be a doctor.
So Duke.
He's a Penn transfer.
So Duke.
It's like, yeah, that's cool that you want me to go ride a bus or make like $20,000 in the minors, but
I'm good.
I'm going to get my medical degree from Duke and become a doctor.
You know what?
So
I'm not doing banana ball.
Yeah.
I'm not. Hey, like that glow in the dark baseball looked pretty cool, but that ain't me.
Yeah, I'm going to be a surgeon. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm at.
And he's from Durham.
Yeah.
So I think he's a fascinating story. Sorry, didn't mean to get sidetracked there. They leave that series, and I'm thinking, oh boy, he's going to have to put his work boots on to make the tournament. End up seeing them up in Greenville. They look pretty good. ECU is down this year. Then they host Louisville. They get smoked. And I'm like, oh, gosh. They respond, win the series against Louisville, go out to Cal, sweep Cal, come home, sweep Clemson. Clemson and Louisville are the 2 best teams in the league. So here they are. And Jacob Duden is the real kind of classic Elliott story. You know, comes into the year, had such great success as a freshman. He's all tatted up, and you're like, okay, this guy's the real deal. And he struggles beginning of this year. And I had joked with Elliott that Duden was in Elliott jail, and he's like, oh no, there's no Elliott jail. He'll, and I'm like, no, I know the rhythms here, because sure enough, I see him over in Durham, and he pitches well, and I go, okay, that's step 1 to get out of Elliott jail, and now Duden looking like the guy who really is one of the best closers and relievers in college baseball. So congrats to NC State. Obviously, a lot of work left, because you're right. What are the prizes for being in first place on April 28th? None. And guess what? They close with Miami, Carolina, and Stanford. So
are they good?
Yeah,
they're all good.
They're just okay. So,
and it's not the Jamboree this year.
And it's not. It's a legit single elimination tournament. And so I'm actually looking forward to that. I will not be there because my money does not go to the certain person that owns that building, but I will be supporting from afar for sure.
Fair
for
enough.
sure.
This is from a 919.
Hey, Joe's. Chris, first time caller, long time something. Who cares? No one actually cares about that. You know what people actually don't really care about? Cussing in a podcast. Like, if you're complaining about someone like cussing in a podcast and you're willing enough to give someone a 1-star review over that, you're hiding something. You've done something wrong in your life. You're trying to verify or justify your terrible outlook on life on other people by some prism of just purity that you actually don't have. What are you hiding? What's in your closet? What have you done to judge other people? Thanks.
So that's
we got to write that one down. Remember, I got the list for the year-end phone call.
Yeah.
The closet.
Write that one down. No, so this is in relation to. I was just, by the way, I thought it was funny. So on the Apple podcast ratings and reviews, 5 stars only, positive vibes only, curse vibes only. If you're watching on YouTube, I got the 2 reviews up. One opinion, I agree. The profanity distracts me from what I want to hear. Reasoned sports analysis. Followed by profanity, 5 stars. I enjoy profanity. Keep it up. So, and most people reacted to this on Instagram and on other social media have been like, y'all, cursing ain't that big of a deal. Like, move on with your life. If it's in the natural flow of conversation, well, that's how people naturally talk. It is what it is. My personal favorite was, do you really think Roy Williams never cursed? Come on now.
Right.
That man absolutely cursed.
You'd be proud of me. I did not swear yesterday.
Good for you.
The former governor.
Yeah, I warned you. Like, don't do anything to like get him in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think my personal favorite, though, is that you did go into the comments yesterday.
I did.
With Roy. And I enjoyed
I
this
didn't give them all of them. But
we go into the comments because I want to see what people, and it's a good way to interact with the audience.
Part of the show.
That's why we have the sports phone. So we can actually have a conversation. But yeah, sometimes you got to go into the comments. And I thought this exchange on the After Dark is a good way to close.
Luke's background and career is newspapers. Mine, after leaving the newspaper, I've learned that it's okay to look at the comments. It's okay. And newspapers, never. For you as governor, did you ever look at the comments on anything social or anything else?
Rarely.
Rarely.
It's generally not recommended.
It's generally not, but usually the YouTube's is a safe space. So let's see what we can come up with here. We'll start with Ryan, subtitled, Your Best Guys Have to Be Your Best Guys. Yes.
It's a game of runs.
It is a game, and it was a game of runs. Our guy Mike Jones, someone check on PK Subban. He's done this after every game or every Canes win so far this year. So,
PK called me out one time.
What?
Yeah.
He did over the
one of my late night posts. I posted one right after this game as well, but I usually like to have fun with some other guy on another team. So it was fun to get called out by PK.
Nice. You clapping back on people or no?
Nah, I don't do that.
Also a part of politics, right? You're so you could say something bad about Duke not winning the national championship now, by the way.
You know, it's been 30 minutes? It's the first mention of Duke that I've heard from you. Something like that.
Luke knows I'm the most stubborn person on the planet.
You got him to throw up the Wolves, though.
I didn't do it. He just did it.
He just did it.
That was my birthday present, he said.
So, well, now you can say, you know what? He's running.
Now you know.
With the pack. That dude's totally running. That's my own opinion. That's my own opinion. Anyway, big thanks to the former governor for jumping on, senior Canes correspondent on OG Media. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Big thanks to Kyle Bailey for dropping by. Thanks to all the OG Sports phone calls. We'll do it again tomorrow, along with potentially an After Dark that closes the series Tuesday night. Fingers crossed. And we'll see you on Thursday at the OG Birthday Bash.